Hello and welcome back to Coding with Kenny G. This is the beginner series, and this episode I want to shake it up a little bit, take a little bit of a break from the scripting so that we get to do some fun visual things as well and setting things up in Unity. The last episode was a little bit heavy for some of you, I assume at least, with the local functions. A little bit more involved programming. So in this episode I want to try to fix our scene and setting up the turret that we are building as a visual game object so that we get to look at a little bit more exciting things in Unity when we are starting up these episodes. So let's get going. There we go. Okay, let's open up the turret scene. So right now this scene is not exciting. Oh, funny. Not very fun to watch and nothing going on. So let's set up our scene and our turret game object. First of all, I'm thinking that this is going to be like a top-down camera little mini game. So first of all, we're gonna select the main camera in the turret scene, and we're gonna move that to have a top-down view. But I want to show you the coordinate system in Unity. X is left and right, Y is up and down, and Z, the blue arrow, is forward and backwards. You can see up in the upper right in the scene view the compass, so where you're at in terms of your relative view with the scene camera. You can move around in the scene by holding right click, and then you can move the camera around, and when holding right click mouse button you can move or pan the camera in the scene view using W, A, S and D buttons on the keyboard. Okay, so the camera, we're going to set that up first. You can move the scene gizmo here, but we want to move this accurately. So for now, if you see up in the upper right, there's a transform component on the main camera. And we're going to select the Y coordinate and just write 10 there for now. We might need to adjust that going forward. Not sure if that's okay. We're going to zero out the Z component of the position transform. So it's 0. So it should be X0, Y10, Z0. And then we're going to rotate the camera on the X-axis to 90 degrees. Then you can see that the camera frustum here is pointing downwards. Excuse me. As you can tell from the compass in the upper right of the scene view, Y is up and the negative Y is down, right? There we go. But that is not showing anything exciting just yet. Very gray and unfun. I think that, see, the camera is rendering what's called a skybox. That's what we're seeing around here. But how about we just give it a solid color instead? So select the main camera in the hierarchy. And then on the inspector, there's a lot of scary options, but we're not going to touch anything except we're going to scroll down to, let's see, something called environment right there. We're going to select the drop down for background type where it says skybox. I'm going to select solid color, and then we're going to give that color something like a mid-tone or a little bit dark black. If I click the game fan here in Unity, you can now tell that the camera is rendering a solid color as a background instead of a skybox, like that. Okay, that's it. for the camera for now. Then we are going to set up the turret. Now previously the turret lived on our boring Hello World game object, but let's try to actually build the prefab or actual construction of the object that we're going to be using. So first of all, in the hierarchy in the turn scene, right click, and then we're going to create an empty. We're going to call this turret, the name of the game object, and then we're going to reset its position coordinates to 0, 0, 0, so that it's at the world origin. There we go. And then here's a thing that is a real thing in most video game projects in Unity, where you have the root, like the topmost object here, representing the totality of what an asset is. Typically, we place visual components as a child object of the parent object, and I'm gonna show you a practical example as to why. So I'm gonna right click the turret game object here in the hierarchy, and then I'm gonna create another empty, create empty. This will default to 0, 0, 0, and it is a child of the turret game object. You can see that denoted by the drop down arrow next to the turret in the hierarchy. We're gonna call this child object visuals. Visuals plural, and its position will be 0, 0, 0 by default relative to the position of the its parent, which is good. Now, underneath visuals, so a child of visuals, we're going to select the visuals game object in the hierarchy, right click, and create a 3D object of type cube. Now, here is a reason why we place visual components as a child of the root of an object, because the cube here is one unit, one unity unit, which equates to like a meter essentially. Well, one size unit in each cardinal direction, so y, x, and z, right? 1, 1, 1. But if you see the grid here, the position of the cube is 0, 0, 0, meaning that it's at the origin, but its body, 0.5 of its scale, is below the surface, you might say, below 0 on the y-axis. So often we need to offset the position of visual components a little bit, so that, you know, the turret here is, we could move it on the ground, the floor, using its pivot, but without the visuals clipping through the ground, if that makes sense. So I'm going to offset the visuals game object here by 0.5 on the y-axis, 0.5. What happens is that now you see, if you see the grid here, that represents the ground plane, and the visuals position, the visual game object is now aligned properly towards the ground, while the turret, if we select it and we use the pivot, see where my mouse cursor is, we can either use the center pivot or the pivot. But the pivot here is positioned on the ground, meaning that, you know, I can easily move this guy around on the ground plane. But the visual components are still above the ground. So that is the reason why we typically place visuals underneath a root parent object that is empty, and also the top level, like the parent of all sub-objects, children beneath it. We tend to place like the actual functionality components, like the scripts that run the entire thing at the root here at the top, so on the turret game object, and we're going to do that now. So I'm clicking add component with the turret selected in the hierarchy, and then we're going to just add the turret script, so that's ready to go. Okay, cool. We're not going to deal with scripting this episode, but we are going to design a little bit more of this turret. First of all, I think that we're going to have three components that are visual components that are defining what this turret is. I'm going to select the child object of visuals called the cube, right? Press F2 to rename it. And then I'm going to call this turret body. So this is essentially like the big box where the cannon, what's it called? Muzzle in English. Muzzle is going to protrude from. So we can actually make that as a child of turret body. So I'm gonna click the turret body game object, right click it, and then create a 3D object, which is a cylinder. Right now it's spawning a little bit crazy like this, but you know, okay, we're gonna rotate it 90 degrees on its x-axis. So there we go. Remember that the blue axis is pointing forward. We want that, right? And then we're going to place this guy somewhere. It does not matter right now if it clips into another object. We're doing pretty simple stuff here, and we're going to deal with this later. But for right now, I'm going to press the R key to go to the scaling tool. You can move between gizmo tools in Unity using W, E, R, and then T. But the scaling tools lives on the button R. And if I click the middle box here, similar to how it works in many 3D modeling programs, I can just scale down the entire object to something that looks okay. Let's scale it a little bit up. In my case, I'm using yeah. We can even make this accurate by selecting the scale and write 0.75 into all of the fields on scale. Okay, so this is the muzzle. We're gonna give this material so it looks a little bit cooler, but we're gonna finish the body first. Okay, so this is the cylinder. Let's see if it looks okay from top down. Yeah, maybe drag it in just a little bit. You can play around with this. It doesn't matter too much because this is you know, quick stuff. But to complete this turret, I'm going to select the cylinder object, the muzzle, and I'm going to call it cannon muzzle. That's what it's called in English. And then finally I think that we're gonna have a little cockpit protruding from the top of the cube here. So it looks like a cockpit. Then I'm gonna select the turret body game object in the hierarchy, right click, and then create a capsule. So I'm gonna click R to select the scaling tool, and then I'm clicking the middle object to just scale it down a little bit, and then pressing W to have the movement gizmo, and then I'm just gonna find something that looks okay. We're gonna give all of these three different objects different materials so that they look a little bit cooler. To finish the object setup, on the cannon muzzle game object, the child of turret body, we're gonna create an empty. So I'm gonna select the cannon muzzle game object and right click and then click create empty, and this is going to be renamed to bullet spawn point. Now this is where when we fire a cannonball from the turret, that's where we will actually spawn a bullet. But this will not function like you would think in the normal world, where, you know, ammunition or a cannonball will be inside of the muzzle. But in video games we do a lot of illusions, smokes and tricks because we don't want to spawn the bullet inside of the model. We're actually gonna spawn it on the outside here. So I'm gonna drag the spawn point out a little bit on the Z axis. It's very important that it's only this that gets affected. We might need to modify this later, but okay. I'm gonna write 1.5 here in its Y component in its transform. So that's where we're gonna spawn bullets. Okay, that should be an okay setup of the object itself. Now we are going to create materials for all the three body parts of the turret. So the way that is going to work, I'm scaling up the project view a little bit here. If you don't have a materials folder, right click assets, create folder, and create a folder called materials. And inside of this folder, I'm gonna create a new folder called, oh, did that not work? There we go, turret. So this is where we are going to have the materials that define the visual look of the different turret components. I'm opening up that folder, right click, and then create something called material. It's at the top here in a quick button. And then this material we're gonna call turret body. And then I'm gonna duplicate this material by holding Control and pressing D. So that's a command for duplication, Control D. Then I'm gonna click F2 to rename that material to turret muzzle. And then I'm gonna clone that one again and press F2 to rename and call that turret cockpit. Okay. And we're gonna adjust the settings of this just with simple colors, but we have to assign the material to each of these parts on the turret. First of all, I'm going to select the turret body game object in the hierarchy in the scene. And then I can just drag and drop the, there we go, yeah. So I'm drag and dropping from the materials folder, drag and drop the turret body material onto the inspector in a general area. It's just gonna assign the material correctly then. Then I'm going to select the cannon muzzle game object in the scene. And then I'm gonna do the same, drag and drop turret muzzle onto the inspector in a general area to assign that material. And then I'm going to select the capsule. I did not rename this, so I'm going to rename it to cockpit. And I'm going to assign the material for turret cockpit onto it. Now, the only thing that we need to do is to change the color on each of these things. Let's start with the turret body. So I'm selecting the turret body in the hierarchy, and then on the right side here I am clicking the turret bodies drop down so that I get to see the different options available on the right side here. The only thing that we are going to change for now is its color. So on the surface inputs thing here, there's a base map, and you can click directly on the color here, and we can adjust the body color to something exciting. How about our turret is, you know, maybe a little bit of a metallic dark blue in his body here. Then I'm going to select the cannon muzzle game object in the hierarchy. Select the material on the right side by clicking down the drop down, so I get to see the material options. On the base map, I'm going to change the material color of the muzzle to something, maybe some sort of slightly saturated orange. And then the cockpit. Same procedure, selecting the cockpit game object, drop down material, find the base map color. And this one is going to be a very bright cyan white. We're not gonna do like see-through materials or anything. This is just going to look okay. There we go. So this is the game view. It looks a little bit ridiculous, but okay. It is a beginner series after all, so it's not about the visuals mainly this series, but okay. Then now we're going to make this guy here into a prefab. A prefab is a concept in Unity where we can produce like a model, a 3D, like a composite object, you might say. Like it contains the visual components, like in this case these simple 3D models, and then the script that is applied here, the turret script, and any other, for example, visual effects, sound effects, everything. We can save this entire object as a prefab. So if you don't have a prefab folder down in the project view, right click Assets, create folder, and create a prefabs folder. So inside of that folder, we're gonna create another folder called turret. And I'm gonna open up that folder. And the only thing that we need to do now is to select the turret object in the scene. And we're gonna hold and drag and just drop it directly into the project view here in the turret folder. Then this object will be saved as a prefab in Unity. The cool thing is, to demonstrate, now I can delete this turret from the scene. It doesn't exist in the scene right now. And now from the project view, I can drag and drop the turret prefab to just create a copy directly into the world. With the script and everything assigned to it. Cool. So for now, to finish off this episode, we're gonna delete the hello world object. Get out of here. We're done with you. And now we can save this scene. Control S, save project, go to file, save project, so that everything is saved and ready. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more fun. We're gonna move this actually in this episode. We can just move this turret object downwards in the Z direction. I don't know how far. That was too far. So it's at the bottom of the screen. Ooh. Yeah, we probably should make this orthographic. Let me just check something real quick, and then yeah, we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna show you what I did. First of all, we place the turret object at -4 on the Z axis and 0, 0 on X and Y. And then when we click the game fan here, you see that this has a little bit of a weird perspective thing going on. That's because our camera is actually rendering in perspective. But we are essentially trying to emulate a 2D feeling of this game. So instead of having the camera render in something called perspective mode, we are going to render in something called orthographic. So select the main camera in the hierarchy, and on the right side in the inspector, there's a tab called projection. And the projection has a drop down of either perspective or orthographic. So we're going to select orthographic, and then we're going to select our game tab. And then we're going to see that our camera is not, the game camera that is not rendering in perspective mode anymore. It's it sort of flattens out the way that the game world is being rendered, so that it looks more or less like a top-down 2D game. Okay, I think that'll be it for this episode. So save the scene, save the project. Thank you for watching, and yeah, remember to subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next episode, where we're gonna start preparing some more things in the scripting side of things for this turret. See you in the next one.